Hi, this is Dave at Sisters Hill Farm. It's June 18th, 2014. Today we're mulching our tomatoes with hay, basically waste hay. And we do that for a number of reasons. One is for weed control. Two, the fruit is quite a bit cleaner. Disease also it helps with, in the fact that a lot of the diseases are fungal diseases and they start with soil splashing up on the lower leaves. So the mulch hay will prevent that. Also, we don't use black plastic, so this is a way for us to mulch the tomatoes without using black plastic. It's not as effective as black plastic in terms of heating up the soil, and it does sometimes cause the soil to be a little bit too moist in wet years, but we find that the advantages outweigh the disadvantages most years, and we really like using the hay. So here's what we do. You can see down this way we have it all mulched, but if you look this direction, we've got our hay bales kind of laid out at approximately maybe 12 feet apart. Our rows are 5 foot center to center. And the way we approach setting them down is we cut the strings, and then we take the flakes, I guess they're called, of the hay here, and we'll distribute those flakes somewhat evenly between plants. And we want to go all the way across the path as well. You can see one of the advantages is that we save several times weeding, so the weeds are already germinating under here, but that's no problem at all as long as we put it down thick enough. So I'll put down several flakes like that, and then this really is pretty poor quality hay. It's got all kinds of goldenrod in it and thistles and all kinds of things, so I'm going to put my gloves back on. But we get it for just $2 a bale, which is wonderful, so it's a bargain. It doesn't cost a lot. A lot of people are concerned, one of the questions they ask is, aren't you adding weed seed this way? And what we find is that yes, we are adding weed seed, but primarily they're weeds that are not very effective. They're not very competitive with our crops. So the weed seed is not anywhere near as bad as having galansoga or purslane or quickweed or lamb's quarter or pigweed or all those sort of weeds that we're used to as vegetable farmers. So I find that what I'm adding in terms of organic matter for the next year's growth is way more important, and also for the benefits of this year's growth is way more important than anything I'll lose in terms of adding some weed seed. I've found that the next year it's just as easy to weed these fields as any place else. So here's what we do. We take these flakes, and basically you'll take a flake about that thick, they vary a little bit. And in here in the center, I need to spread this one out. So what I'll do is I'll just pull it apart and shake it. Pull it apart and shake it. Spread it to maybe 150% of its original size or 200% of its original size. Excuse me, depending on how thick it is. So this one I'll bring right on over here, and I'll just stretch it out, just like that. I'll take this one, and see the two plants here, I'll kind of take the corner of the flake, stick it between the plants, and just stretch it between those two plants. Grab another flake here, stretch it here, and you might say, how thick do you make it? Well, you want to make it thick enough so that you're not wasting hay, but also thick enough so that it completely blocks all the light down to the surface of the ground there. And if you get it thick enough, you'll find that none of these weeds will make it through, and you'll have completely weed-free beds the entire season. So what we've found is somewhere around one bale down the center of each path every 10 to 12 feet or so works pretty well for us. So again, here's the flake, spread it out, take one down the center here, try to spread that a little further because it was a thicker one. I'll grab this one, bring it over here, spread it out, and so it doesn't take very long. Audrey on the other side here, you want to just flip around and show, she's pruning them before we get to them. So that's a good effective thing, because a lot of diseases that start with tomatoes start with poor airflow and having a whole lot of suckers down real low on the plant contribute to a thick mass of leaves right down next to the hay, and that can contribute to foliar diseases too. So this is one of the ways we keep them a little bit healthier by pruning. We only really prune now, and then we just let them go from that point. So it's down close to the ground that you're most concerned with. So hope you learned something today. Stay cool and enjoy farming. Bye-bye.